1 second. Okay. All right. Welcome. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for your patience. I know we're starting a few minutes late, but love to see we have all these wonderful viewers here today, um, providing comments and already interacting with us. Whenever you have a question during the session, feel free to drop it in the chat. Make sure what you're saying is also appropriate. Yeah, make sure it's appropriate. That's all I have to say. All right, we're super excited to have three wonderful, incredible speakers today, incredible leaders here in Baltimore City. Again, thank you so much. I already see lots of comments coming in. Feel free to keep those coming. All right, so today is our first Bright Future Friday session. We're going to have these every Friday at 1:30. We're going to continue to have guest speakers and really talk about career exploration opportunities, right? We want you to be excited about thinking about your career. And by doing that, you can learn more about other people and their career opportunities, their career journeys, right? So today we're going to be talking about our education and mentorship tracks, and these individuals' experience with mentorship and education within their industry. So without further ado, I'm so excited to have Miss Charette introduce herself and her organization.
Good afternoon, everyone, our panelists and also our guests for joining us. My name is Ms. Charette. I am the Creative Visionary Officer of 360 Degrees, founded in 2014, which is a high quality out of school time program for our youth at risk in Baltimore City. And additionally, I am also corporately a teacher staff coach for Catholic Charities of Baltimore City. So it is a delicate balance between corporate America and then also chasing your own entrepreneurial endeavors. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. And Marcus, do you want to go next? Introduce yourself.
How's everybody doing? My name is Marcus Williams. I work for University of Maryland College Park in the Extension Department. Basically, Extension is a nationwide organization that encompasses land-grant universities that are agriculturally based and do agriculture endeavors. I work in Baltimore City. I'm in charge of agriculture education, and I also coordinate the Master Gardeners in Baltimore City, while also being a student as well. So anything agricultural, whether it is trying to find out what type of grass you have, all the way to what type of bug that is, that's what I do on a daily basis.
All right, Minister Brian, take it away.
Minister Brian Boardley, the new Executive Wellness Director for One More, One Less Mentoring. We're based out of Baltimore, Maryland. I came up with a program after traveling around the world fishing, and I wanted to come back teaching youth in Baltimore City life skills around environmental education, inclusion, justice, and equity. What does that mean? For the last 45 years, the marine industry has been dominated by other nationalities. I wanted to bring forth a program that puts kids on the water, gives them new occupations that they've never seen before, from being a boat mechanic to sales of boats, to working in natural resources, to learning how to fish, boat, kayak, build underwater robots, and learn hydroponics and aquaculture, which is the ability to raise animals that we normally eat. So learning how to raise shellfish, shrimp, fish in the classroom. All of those components are what we're trying to bring forth in Baltimore. I wanted to be able to at least make a difference in your life, show you that there's so many different occupations, teach you how to appreciate the water, the nature, the outdoors, the beauty that we have around us that our kids seldom see being on the water. So that's my program.
Well said, Minister Brian, and thank you all for your introductions. give a little background on your organization. So I'll introduce myself. So my name is Eric Hoffmeister. I work here with YouthWorks as a workforce analyst. I work really closely with the Young Money mentors. If you watch the Money Matters Mondays, the Wisdom Wednesdays, and the Bright Future Friday sessions, I'm backstage most of the time. But most of these Fridays, I'm going to be helping out with our panelists, making sure they're ready to go and providing you with insightful and interesting content. Yeah, so we're super excited to have you all here. Keep on commenting and send any questions. We're going to be taking Q&A questions as well as questions we already have prepared as well. So keep them coming. And thank you all for joining us today. All right, so our first question today is going to go to Miss Charette. Our first question is, what was your first job ever and your first job in the educate or mentorship field?
My first job ever was at Jeepers. They no longer exist, but it is like Chuck E. Cheese on steroids. I was a party planner for our young ones. So I was entertaining, socializing, networking. There was roller coaster rides there. There were gamings there. So that was my first original job at 16. My official job in the field, I would have to say, honestly, was in high school. We had a daycare inside of my high school in Anne Arundel County, and I was a staff support. And I have been in education, working with our youth from birth through 5 through 15, and all the way up to 21 in some sort of capacity since.
I would say my first job was working at Lipton Tea Plant. I was making $5.75 an hour. I was working 12-hour shifts. I was basically filling tea bags, putting them in boxes, getting them ready to be shipped out, and working pallet jacks. My actually first job within my field was working for Virginia Cooperative Extension at Virginia Tech. So I was working for Virginia Tech in Suffolk, Virginia, kind of doing the same thing I'm doing now, which is just educating. Except for I was working for large-scale farmers with anywhere from 500 to 1,000 acres of land. And I was helping them become profitable and sustainable, whether they were raising cow, whether they had a fish farm, or whether they were growing crops. So that was my first job, actually in my educational field.
Awesome. How about you, Minister Brian?
Oh, I'm sorry. My first job was, I used to have fish tanks in my house, 7 of them. And I would always go to a pet store. And one day I asked the lady, would she mind me working in here? She ended up allowing me to work for 4 summers, just being around animals. Everything from spiders to lizards to dogs to cats to snakes. We even had a baby alligator called a cameen. And it was my job to make sure all the animals got fed, maintenance of the tanks, and it just gave me a deeper appreciation for animals. But I also learned a lot of life skills, being on time, being punctual, because everybody had to eat on a different time schedule. I learned accountability. I learned integrity on my word. So if you speak it, you follow through with it. That's what I've learned in my first job. And yes, I was young, a lot of immaturity. It took me a minute to get those accountable pieces in my character, but I had great mentors. And that's something that we all need growing up as a coach, a mentor, somebody that can show you how to do this thing better in life. You learn on a curve so you don't have to go through all the hard knocks that a lot of adults have made in their life. And that way you're able to move faster, easier, and hopefully more successful than the years it took us to get there.
Beautiful. So I just want to make sure I'm checking the comment section. Everyone, make sure you're being appropriate in what you're saying. I appreciate those that are asking questions. We have some really great questions in the chat. All right, so we're going to take a question now. And let me pull it up in just a moment. Gotta scroll up. So someone was asking, what do you enjoy about your job?
I personally enjoy making an impact. I'm a servant at heart, so it brings me great gratitude to be able to, one, offer a helping hand or just being kind or shedding my light in the world. Because to me, only light can drive out darkness. So I love making an impact and I love building relationships and rapport with everyone who I cross paths with.
I would say that no day is the same with my job. One day I might be helping somebody who has some problems with their vegetables. The next day I might be helping with somebody vaccinate their goats. The next day I might be giving a presentation on flowers. So if variety is the spice of life, I can say my job is different every day.
For me, I'm gonna be a little selfish. I love fishing. I love fishing anywhere and everywhere. Um, when you have something that you love doing and it's a passion, it's never a job. You get up early just to enjoy that moment that you love doing. I love fishing. So for me to talk to kids and show them how to fish, how to kayak, how to give them self sufficiency, it means everything to me right now. And yes, we all are servants to these youth and to young adults, but we all are in our own separate industries attempting to put something back in somebody's life that somebody put into ours. So it's a passion for me, helping kids learn how to do all this environmental, marine inclusion. It's fun. Plus, you get to tell people do all the hard work that you just don't feel like doing at 50 anymore.
Well said. Well said. Well, I don't blame you. Um, Being outside for work sounds wonderful, especially when it's not too hot out. I know we had some hot days this past week, but all right. So we're gonna move on to a question we had planned. I do see we have some more questions in the chat, and we'll get to as many as we can. All right. So my question is, what is your experience with educating others or mentoring others, and what led you to take on this track?
For me, it was something that really came naturally, especially early on in life. So I knew that I had a connection with youth and our children, as much as honestly, it's not the most glamorous field and you don't get compensated a lot for it. And every time I tried to get away from youth at some point, like I would be in Walmart and a random child would wave at me. I'd be in a restaurant with my son, and one particular child who was Caucasian, they were leaving out, and she stopped and said, "No, mommy, I want her to put on my jacket." And I'm like, "Mommy's got it. You're good to go." So at every interval that I thought of changing fields, that I thought of wanting to do something else that would generate more money, I was always drawn back to or referred back to our youth. So that in itself, really providing the foundation or love for learning in our younger scholars to really helping to impart and help navigate our older youth, because it's necessary for me at the end of the day. So it's always been a love and always been in me to do.
I would definitely say the field I'm in, which is agriculture, doesn't have a lot of people who look like me. So my biggest thing was to educate people who look like me that agriculture just isn't for certain people, it's for everybody. So my biggest thing was to reach back and anybody who had any interest, whether it was with computers, showing them that agriculture can be a field that they could get into, whether it was design. A lot of people who do textile is actually an agriculture field because cotton is used in making clothes and other things. Or if they were interested in fish, showing them how everything can relate back to agriculture, and that there's a lot of, I don't want to say there's a lot of money, but there's a lot of education opportunities, and there's also a lot of scholarships in agriculture. So showing them how no matter what you do, that you're going to need agriculture because you always need food to eat, and you always need ways to produce food. So just teaching them anything I could about agriculture.
I agree with all my panelists. I'm a father of a 12-year-old princess. I started in mentoring, trying to make sure that she had good role models in her life, even if I couldn't be there, that would give her programs, give her access to things that were a little bit off the beaten track. From there, it was mentoring, ministry tend to go hand in hand. It's helping somebody, it's being a servant, it's teaching someone how to do the things that you love or your industry, and then just sharing it. I mean, and that's all we are ever doing is just sharing information. Hopefully, the information you get from us today may shift your ideas of a career, may give you more information on something you really wanted to do, just didn't know how to get there. And that's where our jobs are. We're trying to show you how to get into the fields that we're in and give you options. Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, Burger King don't have to be your only entryway into careers. I'm a money dude, so I find money from grant writing for scholarships, everything. Blacks in science, Latinos in science are a big button right now where they're trying to even the playing field and put money behind those industries that push our kids into bigger occupations financially. And you can't get there by yourself. You have to be guided through the process. So if you're out there and you need information to move yourself forward, get in contact with one of us. We're always open to talk. I respond to all my emails, all texts. If any of my kids are on this podcast now, you know me. I follow through. So just reach out. That's what we're here for.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that last statement you said that we're all here to support you all. That's why we do what we do. And I kind of wanted to jump off of what Marcus has been talking about with working in agriculture. I kind of studied a different angle in studying food systems back in college and Baltimore City food systems. So maybe you aren't as interested in how plants grow, but maybe you want to learn more about like how to get healthy food to individuals throughout Baltimore. There's a lot of opportunities for things like that. Just to talk about that. All right, so we have a lot of questions coming in. We're going to try to answer as many as we can. So here is another question, kind of talking about challenges that we're facing in our jobs.
What in your job is something that can be difficult at times? For me, I would have to say the delicate balance between corporate America, entrepreneurial endeavors, and then home life. Outside of both of those things, I am a mother of two. So I really have to be very methodical about my time. I move very strategically. My family time is family time. And sometimes I have to say, you know what, Charette, you can do that tomorrow. Making sure that, because it's not fair to pour out everything that I have to the youth that I work with. And then I'm exhausted when I get home and I don't have time for my own. So I have to make sure that there's a delicate balance and that I actually do balance all of the positions and the roles that I play.
I would definitely agree with the work-life balance. I have two kids. I'm going back to school and trying to pour everything into my job, and also being able to be on when you need to talk to people, and also how to shut down and kind of get yourself recentered. So work-life balance is a big thing, and it's not going to be easy.
I agree with my panelist again, being the third party here. One of the biggest things I think that's challenging at this level, you've got to learn new vocabulary every day you wake up. And what do I mean by that? Right now, many of you are in middle school, possibly, well, high school, really. and you're going through your grades learning new language. Ninth grade language is different than 12th grade language, and you're constantly learning. When I started writing grants, I didn't know that field. I had to learn this vocabulary of what words to use that make money. Um, New vocabulary. You've got to keep learning every day. You've got to have a hustle and a drive. One of the problems that I've had so far, some of my youth workers don't have that ambition, don't come hungry. And I try to explain to them, I'm a lion. You don't have to wake me up every day to eat. We stay ready. We get
Come
it.
on, Minister.
So for you to come to work where we're paying you to come learn tasks that help your life, I want to see that hunger. I don't want to see you drudging along. And if there's some home life that's making you not energetic enough, then tell me so we can show you how to change some things. But I want that drive. I want that zeal of life. I want to see that you want something out of life. We don't mind helping anybody, but them days of handouts are over. You got to want to get where you got to go. So my challenge is trying to convey that to the youth so that they understand when you come on this side of the field, I'm not coddling you. I'm giving you some opposition because pressure makes you better. Don't get funky. Don't get hood and street and just start being belligerent because you don't understand the process. Just relax and learn and have that interaction with an adult that may be critical at sometimes for you to gain information, but also you feel some love, some embrace that this person just wants the best out of me. And oftentimes our kids aren't pushed hard enough. You know, we tend to deal with entitlement with youth. And nowadays, nobody is entitled to give you anything. But the fact that you at least put an application in means somebody is willing to show you how to do life better. Gain some skills. You should be coming to work every day with a journal so that you can write down what you learned today. Because every day I go to class trying to learn how to get the money to make these programs, I've got to learn today. My other opposition right now is I have to learn those 12th grade math skills have to come back into play when I do accounting for the program. I've got so much paperwork to do just to make sure you get out on the water today. The grantors want to be happy that you got there, but they want to know how much money to the penny did I spend to get you there. They want to know how much is this program costing them based upon every child. So it's a money game. Never look at school like I don't really want to be here, because math, literature, and English are three major subjects you're going to need. What do I mean by that? I played in school. I wasn't serious. I was a D, maybe a good C student in school. But what I've learned on the grant writing side, the better that I write, the more money I can get. So when I first did my first grant and we got $2,500, woohoo! That was me just writing on my pen. It took me 6 months to understand how to write a grant using math and utilizing correct grammar, punctuation, and English. And the next grant was $40,000. So school is important. I may not have thought it back in the day, but I now know it very well. So those are the things that we have to learn to get over those humps, those obstacles. That's what I got for you.
Whew. I don't know how we follow that. Should we just stop now? Just cut it on that. Well said. All right. So I have a comment here that really feeds off of what Minister Brian was telling us. So here we go. What keeps you going when something goes wrong in your job? So we kind of talked about obstacles we got to work through, but kind of what helps you get past that and keeps you moving forward?
For me, it is making my dreams a reality, because at the end of the day, your dreams do not work unless you do. You can talk about it all you want to, but if you don't put your feet to the pavement, if you don't put action behind those steps, you are not going to obtain the things that you want out of life, the things that you want in your careers or your goals. So it is that ambition. It is taking that initiative regardless. And then also perspective. I am always, even if something, if there's a hard lesson, I'm going to call it, there is nothing wrong with failing forward We all fall. You get back up. Every day is a new day. Always remember that after the rain comes the sun. So it really is perspective for me. And then chasing my dreams. You have to move. You have to do the work. Not be afraid of the work. Minister Brian mentioned entitlement, and this is something that I'm like, is it just me? But why do our youth feel like, they're so entitled, like they don't want to work for anything? But it's a saturated technology. Everything is right here. It's really microwave. They want it now, not to do or put in the work. But it is perspective for me. It is, really chasing the dream that I have. So that ambition and that initiative for me keeps me going.
I'm going to be 100% honest. I want to be the best. I want to be the top of my field. Your competition is going to be not the people you know personally, but the person you never met in California or the person you never met in New York. Hey, you might be my competition. I don't know, but I know that that's what keeps me up at night, whether it's writing down new ideas I might have, whether it's making sure I'm on top of my game so that somebody coming out of college or somebody coming out of high school doesn't come up with something better than I have. That's what keeps me going at night, knowing that there's always somebody better than me. So I have to stay on top of my game to stay on the top.
For me, I'm going to say it in a more confident way. Some people take it as arrogance. When you belong to something or someone or a higher power, now since we don't really use religion and spirituality, but when you know who you belong to, you're only supposed to give your best. I give my best at everything that I do today. This is the best version of Minister Brian you're going to get. Tomorrow, I might even be better, but I'm born to be a winner. I'm not meant to be average. I'm not meant to be lukewarm. I'm not meant to be anything less than my best. I give it in my relationships. I give it into my business, my professional world. I give you my best because that's what he told me to give you. Nothing less. Anything less than that is uncivilized, is my word. I don't know how to do less than. I've been a chef for 10 years. We do big or we go home. We do on time or we don't come. On time means you arrive 15 minutes early, not 15 minutes after you're supposed to be there. I send my people home after that. Because if this isn't what you really want, then find out what makes you happy and then do that. But don't waste time. Time is one thing you can't get back. My time is valuable. So let me make sure you understand. Whether I'm on this podcast for an hour or I'm writing insurance for an hour, the money factor looks big different. Time is important. All of us on this phone giving you information are spending time with you. So for you to just meander like, all right, it's free, I'll listen, see if they talking about anything, that's disrespectful. Because we make time to show people, and I'd rather put time into those that are hungry. Let's get it. So at this point in my life, I want kids and youth around me that want to know something to get somewhere. If you don't have that drive, I'll tend to push you to the side. That's not a great feeling. And that's part of the character that we're trying to explain, change, and demonstrate to youth workers how to become something better. Because this world out here, it's not nice. And let me be transparent. I come from a hustling mindset when I was young, been incarcerated. I understand what it's like to be out. Freedom isn't entitlement. You have it, but one mistake can put you on the other side of those bars. It doesn't take much. And now, because of all the police issues we have, you're being profiled before you even walk out the house. So be on point. You don't have time to waste. You don't have mistakes to just, I made a mistake, let me out. It doesn't work like that, youth. It doesn't work like that. You have to be mindful of the company you keep, because the company you keep can put you behind bars too now. Be mindful that you mean so much to yourself that you don't put yourself in bad company, bad places, or just not at the right time at the right place. That's what I have for you.
Hmm. Yeah, putting yourself first. I love that comment there at the end too. So we had a specific question that I think was directed to you, Minister Brian, about grants. It looked like one other youth was also asking about kind of what is a grant, and so they just want to know more about what goes into grant writing.
Grant writing means I don't have any money, but I have an idea that I think would help the community or help a body of youth. I write to somebody that has millions of dollars and I'm soliciting them based upon my integrity and my accountability to give me some money to help the community shift, change, develop, train, or get better opportunities to even the playing field. That's what we did with my program, Operation Waterways Environmental Education, because we find out in Baltimore City, since we have such a high homicide rate, our kids have PTSD from living around so much violence. One of the things we learned watching Warriors on the Water was for the Afghanistan warriors to come back, they needed a program that allowed their mindsets to shift from being PTSD. So they put them on the water and gave them water training and inclusion, and they were able to deal with their sensitivities and their triggers. Thus, I made a program off of that model for the kids in Baltimore City. So it's putting you on the water, teaching you mental health through a different capacity where you're utilizing your hands, you're digging in dirt, you're learning how to farm, you're learning how to fish, and all of those things play a big part in your mental health that we take for granted. So I wrote a grant explaining to the grantors how to do that, and they gave us a check. Now that check doesn't mean it's a clear check. You got responsibilities, you got timelines, you have budgets, you have accountabilities. But as long as I show them that, they're willing to maybe give us another re-up come next year. So basically, this is hustling 101 that's now legalized. That's all it is. I'll never tell a child you have to be perfect to be anything you want to be. I didn't start perfect, but I learned that if you don't want to be incarcerated, you better find something you know how to do legally that works that you can make money from. And yes, grants make money. Executive directors make money. It just depends on how you word it in the contract.
Thanks for sharing, Minister Brian. I learned something from that myself. All right, so our next question, I believe, is what advice do you wish you had received as a young adult when starting off your professional journey?
I would have to say there were a few things. One, that if you don't learn the lesson, it will continue to repeat itself until
Yes,
you
yes.
do. Until you do. The quicker you learn life lessons, you'll be over that and on to the next one. Honing your energy. Where your energy goes, your focus flows. So if your energy is in gaming all day, technically you could become, a YouTuber or, what is the likelihood of that though? So whatever you really focus your energy on, that is where your focus will go. So learning to hone your energy and be very strategic about how you move in life. I will say that uh, time is of the essence. Often we take time for granted or we think we could do it tomorrow or in a month. However, but we only have right here and right now. So if it's on your mind, if it's in your heart to do it and work diligently at it because, time again, and this going back to Minister Brian, time is the one thing that we cannot get back. So youth, you have this on your side. Use it to your advantage so that you can be where you want to be sooner than you want to get there. So those would be the things that I would have loved to have shared with me at a young age.
I would definitely say no matter how minuscule of a job is, as long as you can relate it back to what you want to do in life, you'll get there. There is no straight path in life. You may take a twist, you may take a turn, but if you can relate it back to what you want to do, then you'll get there. Be mindful of your time. Time waits for nobody. If you take a second to look down, you are 25. Take another second, you're 40. Take another second, you're 50. Time doesn't wait for anything. Right now right this second is the youngest you'll ever be, and it's also the oldest you'll ever be. So that's definitely what I would say.
I think that in school, you've had enough people tell you, do well in school, do well in school. I've heard it all my years in some type of education. And I never really took it to heart what people were telling me because it sounds like something that's so generalistic that we just push it through. But what I'm explaining to you is so different. And it's a way that it should have been explained to me when I was in high school. What you learn today is setting up your tomorrow. So if you don't get it today, that means you got to wait years down the road to come into the maturity enough that you have the gravitation to want to get it then. Why waste that much time when what we're explaining to you is get it now? It's free. It don't cost you anything. Get it now. Put it deep inside your spirit where I'd rather make these grades than go out and be with my friends because I'm a gain friends all throughout my life. But to put your world on hold, meaning putting your number one star player on the backfield just to hang out with some friends and do something that doesn't move your life forward, to me, that doesn't make sense anymore at 50. Had you explained it to me then like that, I would have got it. Hold up. I can go to this party or I can get in these books and study. The two may not sound the same priority, but what makes me better tomorrow? Because the parties keep coming all your life. They don't stop coming. The people you want to meet, get to, the men, the girls, the women, all of those things keep coming down the rest of your life. So if that's the case, the one thing that doesn't is this education. Let me get it now. Because then I don't have to repeat the step like Miss Charette said. Then I don't have to come back. I don't have to do summer school. You know how many kids have to go to summer school, even though we went a virtual position, and all you had to do was turn the camera on and show up? For most Baltimore cities, so many kids are in summer school. Why? All you had to do was show up, get out of bed. You didn't even have to get ready to go to school. And you're in summer school because of not showing up and virtually you chose not to participate? That makes no sense. So now you got to spend the whole summer in summer school. And now that some people are open and some aren't, that means you got to repeat virtual content all over again. That's a waste. You could have been in my program. You could have been on my boat. We could have went down to Solomon's Island and fished, pulled up at the restaurant, thought we was rich and ate something in the restaurant, then got back on the water and then went home. That's an opportunity you just missed. Lions don't miss opportunities.
Once again. Yeah, so what Minister Brian said that really stuck with me there too is don't put yourself on the bench. I'm always thinking in sports terms. Don't put yourself on the bench. Put yourself first, right? That's something I really want to highlight there. And I also agree with Minister Brian that really putting, in that case of putting yourself first when it comes to education, really putting your head in those books as much as you can is so important. I do know that unfortunately not every one of us maybe had equal access to, I just want to highlight this, had equal access to resources, maybe to get on to virtual sites and maybe had other things that held them back. I just want to highlight that as well. But what Minister Brian is saying is also really important, that when you have those resources, maybe when you are lucky enough to have those opportunities, I know I'm privileged to really take those opportunities and run with them as much as you can, right? So that's just what I want to say there. All right, so let's take another question from the comments. We got a lot coming in there. Um, let's go for it. So here we go. Is the job you have now the one you've always wanted, or do you have career interests? Have your career interests changed over time? Maybe you have career goals right now, looking forward.
Interesting. I have ultimately, I want to be my own boss, which is why I'm still corporately in corporate America, and I'm still chasing my own entrepreneurial endeavors. I don't want my dreams to die. So if I have to work overtime, whatever I have to do every day to move me one step towards that. So the goal is honestly really to have my entrepreneurial endeavors, my out of school program time, either after school or summer camp, really be the main breadwinner for me. That is the direction that I'm moving in. It has been extremely hard, especially with funding, being on my own. I have joined, I have a fiscal sponsor that really does help to keep the doors open. They compensate my staff, they help with materials and supplies, and shout out to So What Else because they sought me out. They're based in Rockville, but they sought me out for my high quality programming in Baltimore City. So we have been pretty much happily married to organizations with the same mission, same goal for about 3 years now. We're going on 3 years. Grant writing has been an extreme challenge. It is something, Minister Brian, that you have to learn. You have to learn the jargon. You have to write to what they are asking for. And then numbers, they want to know the numbers. Data plays a big, big part in that. So still ultimately chasing my dream. And I would love for that to be the main breadwinner for me.
I would definitely say this is a career path I have thought about since I was in high school. I was a big fan of George Washington Carver, and agriculture was my thing. I wanted to be the dean of a HBCU. So I said, okay, I have to do this, this, and this. Okay. Get your bachelor's degree. Okay. Get your master's degree. Okay. Get your PhD. Well, I'm working to finish that off, but I've always wanted to be in agriculture. I've always wanted to educate others. And I can say I'm still on track to do what I want to do.
My hats go out to both my panelists. It's commendable. I my 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 career ambitions was simple: be my own boss. That comes with a lot of entrepreneurial obstacles sometimes. Um, I started in a beauty industry, doing nails, pedicures, massages, facials, everything, just so I could one be around women, two get paid from women. Um, that was my first major entrepreneurial jump. From there, I've done everything from construction, rehab, everything from I can't even think off the top. Grant writing, insurance, providing information to help people's lives, estate planning. I've done so many jobs in my life that each one of them I had to learn how to master. So we normally don't stay one position all of our lives because, like the food you eat, you want different food every day. So I had to learn that how to be great at so many different things takes a lot of information, a lot of education. Massage therapy school was 2 years. Alternative healing was 3. So that's a lot of information you have to gain, a lot of books you have to read. Now we read books on financial management, learning how to move money in legitimate places so people can double their returns and their interest rates. And that's another vocabulary dealing with money management that the schools will never teach you, that you have to learn on your own. So I'm building another business at the same time I'm already building this one on the nonprofit side. It's not easy. You learn how to multitask. Where's my ultimate goal? I just want to be able to put people in positions and opportunities that I had the ability to be. So if I can move a child into one of those slots, that I used to occupy, and maybe I'm teaching you cooking. Maybe I'm teaching you catering to run my other entity. I don't have a problem with that because my goal was to create a monopoly board. That's what I wanted. I wanted a business in so many different sectors. It was amazing. And we've already established those. I made clothes, fur coats, gator, alligator boots, tennis shoes. I've done that for 9 years now. But luxury items aren't really on and popping right now. So I moved to the nonprofit side. You should always have a revenue stream, but you should always have something that's passive, meaning you don't have to do much to it for money to come in your doors. So create different revenue streams, then create some passive revenue, and you'll always not have to worry about how the lights get paid, where the bills are going to get paid from. That's something we can teach money management, how to do some things with your money that nobody talks about.
Again, well said, all the panelists. Thank you so much for your engagement and interaction here. And I kind of want to go off of what Mr. Minister Brian was just mentioning. So we're actually trying to provide those financial education resources for you all on Mondays, right? This upcoming Monday, we're not working here at YouthWorks in observance of July 4th, but on Tuesday, we have our next Money Matters Monday session. A little bit of a mouthful there with our young money mentors. So get excited for that next session. We're going to be talking about banking and getting paid. Important things.
Woohoo!
Woohoo, yeah. All right. Even though we're talking about it on a Monday, you might get paid on a Friday, but either way, it's important stuff. All right. So let's move on to the next question. I know at this point we've gone for a little over 45 minutes. I appreciate you guys are still rolling in the comments. I'm looking over, I got 56 comments to go through after this question to find our next question. So keep them coming. We appreciate it. All right. So have you had a mentor or multiple mentors that have helped support you? If so, how has having a mentor helped you?
Mentors are a benefit. They are an asset to you. I really did not really understand the worth of a mentor until I was unemployed. Unemployment was running out, and I had a master's degree, diligently looking for work. Which is when I actually started 360 degrees. I pulled out my business plan and I just put my feet to the pavement. I did everything that I said in that business plan, but realizing that, if someone has been there, like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel, Charette. Really make those connections and network, and they can share their experience. I have not encountered anyone that has not been willing to lead me in the right direction. It has never been a handout. It's been pretty much like breadcrumbs. I'll give you this info. Now, what are you going to do to follow up with it? So, and having a mentor, you don't have to just have one. Whether it is in finances, whether it is in your, personal life, a spiritual mentor, whether it just depends on what you may need a mentor for. And there are individuals that are willing to share their experiences with you, their trials and tribulations, so that you may not have to go through or endure the same thing. Because again, like, who wants to reinvent the wheel? Like, we really don't have that time. So if there is someone, say for instance here, that you would like to get more information from or to gain, but I have had several mentors in a variety of different fields, and they have all been a benefit and an asset to me.
I would definitely say having a mentor is a blessing. A mentor, my mentor that I have personally, when I'm right, she's my biggest advocate. When I'm wrong, she checks me. She tells me I'm wrong. She tells me why I'm wrong. She tells me I'm your biggest fan, but I'm also your biggest critic. I'm gonna let you know when you're wrong, whether you want it or not. Mentors will also help you with shadowing them in their field, but also help you along the road, because the road is long, the road is never short, and if the road is short, you don't want it. anything worth having is working hard, working hard for. And that's having a mentor is great.
Years ago, I was doing nails and pedicures. I had a very high level government official that I was working on. And she was like, Brian, what do you want to be one day? And I was like, well, at that time, we were trying to open up a day spa, a medical day spa at that. This was 10 years before the term even was pronounced. It's something that God put in my spirit that I just wanted to do. And she says, well, I like your vision. I like your goals, but have you looked at yourself in the mirror? And I was like, what do you mean? Well, when you start talking about money, visions, and dreams, you tend to have to look a certain way for folks to take you serious. You have to look professional. Not saying that I needed to be shirt and tie to come do nails and feet. I just needed to be put together better. That was my first meeting of a coach. Same thing Michael Jordan went through when he was in college. He had to have a coach to show him how to become the best player, his number one player that he could be. Same thing with Kobe. All of these great athletes tend to have coaches. It's the people on the outside of being athletic that can't understand what coaching is, can't understand how letting somebody critique you makes you better. We fall into our feelings and our emotions. I don't like his delivery. I don't like the words they said about me. And we get in our feelings. And it was so funny because I was having the same conversation with my financial mentor. And unfortunately, he's a little racist, but he's got information to show me how to move money. This man made $15 million last year. I made maybe about 25. Big difference in the numbers. He's got information that I need. Just regardless how he talks to me, my goal is to get his knowledge. That knowledge moves my family to a whole different tax bracket. That knowledge makes me more comfortable where I can travel around the world and go back to fishing anywhere on this world I want to be. That's the knowledge you have to gain. You have to learn how to sit down, be quiet, take information in, and then learn how to apply it, regardless of the person that's giving it to you. Take your feelings and emotions out of coaching or being coached and just learn to deal with the content. Oftentimes, we get so bent out of shape because of the way we deal with people. And the book that I'm reading now is called Emotional Intelligence. Winners have a different emotional intelligence. We don't let things distract us. We don't fall out on the floor just because something happened in life. You learn to tighten up your emotional intelligence because it's tied to your success. Low emotional intelligence are the individuals that get so bent out, huffing and puffing, ready to fight, and you ain't rationally put things in perspective yet. You're letting your emotions guide you, and that's not what was taught. You're supposed to be a rational human being that determines, is this something I need to flight or fight for? And then you pick one of the two. But coaching and mentoring, yes, I have seven people in different fields. I've got an author coach teaching me how to write a book, teaching me how to write a cookbook. There's so many people you need in your space to get you from A to Z. Why wouldn't I pick up somebody that's already been there, know how to do it, have a shorter game plan, can teach me on a curve? Like Ms. Charette said, you don't ever need to recreate the wheel. Somebody already did it. You just got to put yourself in check to get the information they did or they have. And oftentimes we refuse to do that. So if you learn nothing else on this podcast right now, learn to understand how to be coachable. That means you shift your attitude. See, we can teach skill. We can't teach attitude. Attitude is always going to be a barrier. It's either going to make people work with you or work against you. And that's just about how you come off to them. So always be pleasant. Always be open to receive information. I already know all that. I know how to fish. You done fished 2 times in your life, and you telling me you know how to fish. That doesn't even add up. Because what I'm going to show you is how to fish from the river to the stream to the bay to the ocean. And all of those have different techniques. So for me, you ain't been fishing. You have to learn how to take the information in without the rebuttal, without the feedback, because that's the difference in attitude. Hopefully you learned that today.
Well said, Minister Brian. I'm going to let that just about close us out. I did want to bring up a comment that was made kind of based off of the racism you mentioned that you faced, unfortunately, financially or with your financial advisor. Faith says being treated wrong is never okay, but you can use what you learn from it to help you moving forward. I don't know if that's exactly what she was referring to, but I think that's really well stated, better than I could have stated it. Systematic racism is real. White privilege is real. These are things obstacles that are faced every day, and we definitely want to make sure that that's out in the open, right? Now, to kind of close out, I think it would be nice if each of you kind of provide kind of a final statement, brief final statement as we close ourselves out. Don't forget, really quick, I want to make a plug. Tuesday, July 6th, same time, 1:30 p.m., same place on our YouTube channel. It's going to be youth-led. Mondays and Wednesdays will always be youth-led. Make sure you come out to learn more about banking and getting paid. All right. So, Ms. Charette, keep it going.
Yes, I just want to say thank you for this opportunity to be on this panel. It was an honor. It was a pleasure. Thank you to everyone who joined. And honestly, time is of the essence. And again, dreams don't work unless you do. Having a mentor is an asset and a benefit and a blessing. So with that being said, again, humble regards, and thank you so much for having me this afternoon. And I look forward to connecting with my panelists because I can already see how, listen, I was taking my own notes. And so it was said to make sure that you have your notepad, write the vision, make it plain, take your notes so that you can apply it. So thank you all.
Thank you.
I just want to leave you that when I even go back all the way to high school. When I was in high school, I wasn't the best student. I was more concerned with sports and athletics. Went to college, was not the best student again, was more concerned with sports and athletics, just because it's never too late to switch gears and be concerned with your academics. I had a low GPA in high school, a low GPA in undergrad. I decided to pick it up and got over 3.0 for my master's and got accepted into a PhD program. Just because somebody says that you can't do something, you can always find a way to do something. Just because somebody said that, oh, your GPA is this, and this, if there's a way to get something, you go and get it, no matter what.
I'm going to piggyback off of Marcus. Some of you out here listening to us today may be at a low road in your life, whether it's from home, whether it's lack of finances, maybe it's just lack of love that you don't have, or it could be some family issues you're dealing with. I was told that I was a loser one time in my life, that I wouldn't accomplish anything, that I would never be anything. And unfortunately, you start to believe those words of manipulation. And you have to determine in your life, do you want to settle or do you want to excel? I chose to find my better personality. I chose to find a higher road. And I used that name of being a loser to propel me to be my best. We all go through low spots. Even though we're on this panel explaining to you great information, we all as adults go through some low places. I've come through some very strong hardships and medical complications, and I know we're running out of time, but I was a dialysis patient just because I went to work and a patient sneezed in my face and I lost the function of my kidneys. For 6 years, I was on a machine. For 6 years, I still became a mentor to you. Regardless of your situation or your physical ability, you can always give back something to somebody. You can always make their life better. And surprisingly, you'll feel better once you help somebody else. That's the reason I'm in this position now, to help somebody else. Because truth of the matter, God saved me. I don't know how to give it to you any different than that. These things I hope you never have to see. But if you do go through them, know you can still be amazing regardless of the disabilities and regardless of where you are in your space right now. Make a choice. Be better than what anybody tells you you're not. Use that as fuel to become the best you can be. Because if you keep putting small steps forward, you'll eventually become successful. But we're here. Pick up a phone, email, text. If you need a mentor, I'm always collecting. So if you need a mentor, give me a call. I got no problem with that. For my panelists, if we can network, give me a holler. I got no problem with that. I'm open. I'm meant to serve. So it doesn't matter who reaches out. I'll give you the best information I know how to. Thank you for having me today. It's been a wonderful podcast. We must do this again. Let me know if I can get on Monday to do a different type of financial.
All right. Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate all of your enthusiasm and passion. Um, Again, I am so grateful for the three of you to be joining us today as panelists. I know a lot of our youth workers are grateful for the knowledge you shared. I mean, you can see it in the comments. And again, just want to say thank you. And I appreciate all the interaction on the comments. And I just want to say have a great weekend, everybody. And I'll see you on Tuesday at 1:30. And yeah, looking forward to connect with you guys, fellow panelists. All right.
Right.
Peace out.
Take care.
You take care.
Bye bye.